Hello people, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we talk about top 10 people who lived in an airport. An airport is not an ideal home. Unfortunately, some people have no choice but to live in one. A few simply aren't allowed to leave until their paperwork is sorted out. Others have nowhere else to go. The following people spent weeks, months, and even years calling an airport home. Number 1 is Metron Kara. Metron Kara was expelled from Iran in the 1970s. He lived in Belgium for a while before he decided to emigrate to England, where he had once studied. Nasseri boarded a plane that was headed to England via France. Unfortunately, he lost his refugee papers when someone stole his briefcase. He arrived in England, but he was sent back to France. However, French officials refused to let him enter the country without his papers, but they wouldn't let him leave, either. Authorities told him to wait in the airport lounge while they figured his situation out. He waited for years. Number 2 is Ahmed Family. Hassan, Gulistan, and their 4 children lived in Syria. After their city was attacked by multiple suicide bombers, the family decided to flee the country in 2015. The 4 oldest family members had Iraqi passports, but the 2 youngest didn't. The family acquired Syrian passports through Hassan's nationality. Number 3 is Hiroshi OHara. In 2008, Japanese tourist Hiroshi OHara boarded a plane bound for Brazil. The plane had a layover in Mexico, and OHara missed his flight, so he decided to stay in the Mexican airport. OHara had money and a return ticket home. He just wanted to stay in the airport. Number 4 is Sanjay Shah. Sanjay Shah lived in Kenya, and he wanted to emigrate to England. He was eligible for a British overseas citizen passport because he was born in Kenya when it was under colonial rule. Shah was allowed to apply for full citizenship, but he did not fill out the required paperwork before he left for England in 2004. Number 5 is Fadi Mansur. Fadi Mansur fled Syria in 2012, due to the civil war. He was facing compulsory military service. He went to Turkey, although he made plans to leave when he found out that Syrians were barred from legal work. He bought a fake passport and boarded a flight to Germany. The plane stopped in Malaysia, and they realized that his passport was fake. Mansur was sent back to Turkey. Turkish officials tried to send him back to Malaysia, but Malaysia refused to accept him. He was sent back to Turkey again. Number 6 is Anthony Delaney. In 2004, Anthony Delaney lost his job and his home. He couldn't find a new job, and he became desperate. He only received £236 a month from the government, not enough to survive. Delaney didn't want to sleep on the streets, so he went to a local airport and made it his home. He slept, ate, and showered there. He only left to collect his job seeker's allowance. Number 7 is Kokoba de Jacques. Kokoba de Jacques was a refugee from Ivory Coast. After traveling for several months, he decided to live in Morocco. He registered as an asylum seeker in 2012, and he was allowed to stay in the country. 2 years later, de Jacques requested authorization to leave, and it was granted. He spent 4 days visiting fellow refugees in Mauritania before returning to Morocco. Airport officials would not let him back into the country, however. They asked him to show proof of his residence and financial resources, and de Jacques showed them the documentation. They still wouldn't let him into the country. Number 8 is Mohammed al-Baish. Palestinian Mohammed al-Baish met a woman on vacation in 2013, and the two made plans to marry. Al-Baish booked a plane to Kazakhstan, where his girlfriend lived. The pair went to register their intention to marry. Then Al-Baish discovered that his refugee travel documents were missing, and his Kazakh visa had expired. Number 9 is Fengsheng. In 2009, Fengsheng traveled to Japan to receive medical treatment. When he tried to return to China, he wasn't allowed to enter the country. Zheng booked another flight, and again, he wasn't allowed to enter. He ultimately tried to go home 8 times. 4 times, China sent him back, and the other 4 times, he wasn't allowed to board the plane. He refused to enter Japan after his last attempt. Zhenggu chose to wait in the airport until Chinese officials allowed him to go home. Number 10 is Zahra Camelfar. Zahra Camelfar and her husband attended a protest against the Iranian government in 2004. They were both arrested. 2 years later, Camelfar was given a 2-day pass to visit her family. They told her that her husband had been executed. She decided to flee the country.